I was watching a movie on Netflix called Hillbilly Elegy. It's a movie where Amy Adams portrays a broken woman, and the story is really about a guy that pulls himself up out of the slum of rural America. Now, if you haven't seen that film, I would encourage you to watch that film, especially as a man who has found himself coming to the manosphere trying to find out answers to questions about women's nature and perhaps what you experienced in your own life and why you make the decisions that you make. If you look at the critics' review of this film, it is indicative of the narrative, of the expected narrative of Hollywood and what comes across as cinema. Most of the things that I've read in regard to the movie Hillbilly Elegy is talking about how the movie lacked substance, how it was just a long monotonous tale of the lower ends of the dregs of society, and it's politically based and whatnot. And like everything else, it seems to be in this day and age, they try to make it into some political statement, to some divisive thing that they can point at. One review I saw said that instead of focusing on what this movie puts the microscope on, we should focus on the drugs and how the drugs got here. Not instead of putting the responsibility on this woman for taking the drugs, we should look at how the drugs got here in the first place. No personal responsibility, no accountability, and this was a woman who said this, no doubt. And the cucked out, feminized men who also saw this man under the same lens just seemed to be reciting the same narrative over and over again. There was no real point to this film. This film was just a lineage of event after event, just bad things, people yelling and calling the cops and using drugs, and there's no point here. There was no point. This movie was dumb. The thing that I find the most funny about this is that the people who watched this movie watched it, I believe, with the eyes expecting to be the typical feminine heroine that comes and saves the day, comes and shows all the stupid men how to do things because men don't know how to do shit right. I think Hillbilly Elegy was one of the best movies that I've seen, one of the most truthful movies that I've seen, and one of the most telling movies that I've watched in a long time that shows men and young boys the real picture of what it is and what we're celebrating in the under the guise of the strong and empowered single mother. Because what you'll see in this movie is what happens to a lot of boys and girls who are the product of women who make shitty decisions with their lives and have no plan to do anything moving forward because there's no man there to take care of the business. And it'll always be pointed at the man. It's the man's fault. It's the man's fault because he didn't step up. It's the man's fault that she's this way because the man's fault, the man's fault, the man's fault. No personal accountability, no responsibility, none of that. Just blame it on everyone, and that's what you'll see in this movie. This woman and her mother were parasitic at best. And what they did was they took their failures out through anger and an insidious emotional incest. What you'll see is a lot of times what happened with your own upbringing, with your own wonderful mother, if you didn't have your father, not a father, your father around. Because the man that these women have children with, those are the men that they wished picked them. And when that man decides not to put up with a woman's shit, for whatever his reasons are, that's that man's imperative. But the way our society has framed things, the man should stay there and toe the line and deal with this woman's insanity. And when the reviews come out, The women and the feminized men look at this and go, the woman had to get that way because of a man. No, the woman that was depicted in this movie got that way because she made shitty choices. She got that way because she allowed the decisions that she made in a moment, not once, but twice, to put herself in a position where she had no answers. She had no answers and no hope. And the only time that you would see this woman get a little shine in her eyes is when she found a beta male to provide for her and her kids. Watch the movie. Watch the movie and you'll not only see maybe what happened in your own upbringing, things that you didn't really have the cognitive ability and awareness to see what was going on. But hindsight is always clear. And when we're young and little boys, our mothers are deities to us. Especially when I was young. I'm 50 years old, and when I was a kid and you said something about my mother, regardless of what she was in reality, I would have tried to take your life away from you. It was expected. You protected your mother, and your mother could do no wrong. But a lot of us found out that that wasn't true. A lot of us end up with broken women trying to save them because we're trying to save our mothers, and we don't even realize it. Watch this movie. Watch this movie, and you will, as a man, no doubt, gain bars of more just information. You will soak up so much reality. This doesn't just happen in the projects, in the trailer parks, the promiscuity, the slut nature, all of the things that we see right now in our culture today that are propagated and promoted as strong and independent. All of these things yield the same result when children come into play. One of the biggest reasons not to deal with women who have children is because those children will be the fallback. Because it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you stay. If she has a little boy, that little boy will become the perfect little soldier for all her sorrows and misery. I've watched it happen in the trailer park, and I've watched it happen in gated communities. The only difference is money. The only difference is the appearance. Behind closed doors, if a psychologist or a psychiatrist could witness the things that these mothers say and do to their children, especially their young boys, to pad them from their own shitty choices and their own stark reality, a lot of these children would be removed from the home because this is child abuse. This is child abuse. What the mother did in this movie was use her son as an emotional tampon to absorb all of her bullshit. This was one of the best movies that I've seen in a long time because it was based in reality and truth, not the female, you go girl, girls can do no wrong bullshit imperative that we're being forced to swallow like bad boys and smile like good boys. It's time to walk away from the table, gentlemen. There's nothing there.